The minigames have always been small little details throughout the games that usually have shown the most important events for the Five Nights at Freddy's lore, showing us the death of Charlie, both missing children's incidents, William, the crying child, Elizabeth, maybe even Henry. Why is this important though? Because there are so many continuity errors weaved throughout them that make them seem sort of unreliable. My biggest issue is the events of Save Them. Save Them shows us Withered Freddy make his way throughout the FNAF 2 location, and despite claims, given his eyes are white and Golden Freddy also has white eyes and appears out of thin air, this sort of insinuates that the Withers are already possessed. That's not my issue, but rather the details of this minigame. We see bodies laying around, puddles of blood, and good old William Afton wearing a security uniform trying to attack Withered Freddy. Let's get my initial thoughts out of the way. I think the voice in the background is actually the security system, the same one inside of the puppet explaining the Give Cake minigame. This is the voice saying SAVEHIM, SAVETHEM, these things in the background. It explains how this voice exists pre-Charlie's death. However, Charlie now has control of it, and we know the Withers are updated with a connection to this same system as well. And I use the words trying to attack because this minigame sort of suggests he didn't actually stop Freddy, despite the claims of "you can't," and that the puppet used Freddy to shove the other kids inside of the toys, given the phone call suggesting they start malfunctioning after they saw a yellow mascot suit. At the end of the day, their programming is connected to a criminal database, not to detect murder suits. Okay, so Withered Freddy is contacted by the puppet using the security system, saves the kids by putting them in the toys. What's the issue? Well, the fact that this incident can't actually exist. William is a security guard, yes, but we know he was switched to the day shift when Jeremy was brought in, and the phone calls imply the event occurs during Jeremy's work week. This would mean William somehow broke in and either brought the bodies with him or that they were there the whole time, and Jeremy didn't notice both of them. Or it would suggest Withered Freddy was moving during the day, and despite William using a mascot suit to kill the kids, proceeds to switch back into the security guard uniform to deactivate Freddy, which would appear on camera showing him not acknowledging the bodies, as well as literally no children strangely being around inside of the facility at all. Either way you look at it, this event shouldn't exist. Unless these bodies, the blood, maybe even William, they aren't real. Same with Foxy Go Go Go, which depicts the 5 children all watching Foxy and then appearing to be murdered out in the open. Also, the security system or whatever programming these robots have shouldn't be capable of entering the safe room, and yet the puppet happens to go back there to shove the kids inside of the suits. And if this isn't the safe room, then where else would William have managed to hide bodies without anyone noticing? Not to mention, for an event happening in real time, why is it we see the words "error" appear when the animatronics try to enter the safe room during the events of Follow Me? I think these are memories bleeding into each other, or, for the sake of argument, showing us the flip side. This has to do with a certain theory that I had considered a while back. During the events of FNAF World, by completing the clock ending, you repeat the minigames from FNAF 3, and with it all coming together as putting the pieces in place for him. I brought up in my We're Right About Security Breach video that this shared a connection to an event that occurred in the book trilogy during the events of The Fourth Closet, when Michael Brooks was trying to put the pieces together for his friends, and thanks to the help of Carlton, manages to help them remember who Afton really is. This event only occurs after Carlton has been injected with Remnant, which took him into this dreamlike world where the kids were still kids. We currently think Remnant is the fusion of memories to physical objects, most notably metal, and I believe the minigames are these memories, left behind in the code of the suits, the same code that's uploaded to create the VR experience. It would explain whatever thinks it's William, whether that be the Mimico one or actually Afton, seems to get the details not 100% correct. we see a glitch trap suit instead of the Spring Bonnie costume, and that costume is used to lure the player at the FNAF 1 location while the FNAF 1 animatronics are in the background. But to our knowledge, there has never been a missing children's incident during the events of FNAF 1 1988 through 1993. It doesn't exist. However, if I'm right, and these minigames are showing us memories bleeding together between what the robots actually saw and what the kids remember, it would sort of explain what's going on. VR isn't the only experience of this, however, as we see the same situation in Security Breach Ruin. Throughout the game, we see things that don't exist, and shouldn't even, as virtual items, seeing as how if cardboard cutouts of Cassie really exist, I think the police should probably be looking into the staff. Overall, I think this idea of technology holding onto memories was basically the original intent of the series, and the minigames in AR World show us these concepts in action, which funnily enough is sort of a callback to a theory I had originally when Help Wanted came out, that being the connections between Glitch Trap and Shadow Bonnie, which never really went anywhere because it was too specific to be Scott's original intent as of 2015, but I felt like someone would eventually make these connections between the minigames and Remnant. After all, it's still an idea being played with thanks to the existence of Princess Quest, which again seems to be the blurring of memories of Vanessa and somebody else, and based on certain images, I feel like she's not the only one. Time and time again, we hear about how Five Nights at Freddy's has evolved, and it's no longer focused on the past, when in reality, this AI era seems to just be the consequences of what those stories left behind. Their memories being brought back to life. I made a tweet about this, and not many actually saw it, so I'll repeat it here. At the end of the day, the reason I come back to this series, the reason I started making these videos, was all because of the debate of why does William Afton need a motivation? Because Five Nights at Freddy's isn't a story about a goofy killer robots trying to jump scare you. Well, I suppose it is, but that was never the direction the story behind the scenes seemed to imply. Five Nights at Freddy's is a story of sadness, a story of neglectful parents and how they react to their world being taken from them. Some react out of anger, some react out of grief. A story of regret. William wishing he had been there to stop Michael. Michael wishing he had let his brother go. Henry wishing he was watching Charlie that night. All of the missing children's parents wishing they had just been watching their children so that they could have never been taken, but that's just a theory. My next video will hopefully go into detail about why Save Them happened, because I need to do my research and see what I can find and see if I might have hit a roadblock on solving the series. I still have plans on making 2 timeline videos, one being the only canon, using only events told to us by fact, and the other one being the commonly accepted timeline, because despite me disagreeing with it, a lot of people should understand what the majority of the community thinks. But, I'll see you guys later. Matane.